There were several inspirations that started this film. The first one is sort of a silly one, where in school in science class I was looking at the periodic table of elements, and all those boxes and graphs reminded me of a bunch of apartment complexes like the ones that I grew up with in New York. And all these families were living together, you know. I'd make this joke of that, like, copper lives next to helium, but don't trust them because they're gassy, you know. And but that just started as this sort of silly world. But then the second piece happened years later. As a father and as an adult, I got to go to this event in New York where they were going to celebrate the arts in the Bronx, and they invited me to talk about that. And I invited my parents, and at this event I had a speech. I went up on stage, and when I turned around, when I got up there and turned around toward the audience, I saw this wonderful, diverse group of people sitting there, and my family, my mom, dad, and my brother and his wife. And I got very emotional because I could see sort of the pride in their faces, but also the age in them, that they had worked so hard. And I got very emotional. I put the speech away, and you know, just this rush of emotion just came up, where I just thanked them for all the sacrifices that they had made for my brother and I to give us this life. And you know, that they came here with nothing. They came here not knowing the language. They didn't, you know, they came here with no connections, and this impossible, you know, task of building something for us. And I was so grateful. And that moment was like seared in me. I came back to work here, and some people were asking me about this, and I told them this anecdote that I'm telling you, and they were like, "Peter, that's your next movie. You have to do that."
At the very beginning, when we were developing the project and we were doing research on immigration, we put out a call to our colleagues at Pixar and asked if anyone who has first or second generation immigration experience would be willing to talk to us. And we had an overwhelming response. We had over 200 people email us back and say they would talk to us. We ultimately spoke to about 100 people. And it was really incredible to hear these stories from people all over the world. So many had very similar experiences to Peter's family. And it really was, we spoke to them in kind of small groups of about 8 people. And it was just, there were funny stories, there were emotional stories, and that basically that really infused the film with I don't know, those stories wound up making their way into the film.
We had Thomas Newman as our composer, and even saying that fills me with this sort of like great pride, only because, you know, we have so much love for him, and I've been such a huge fan of his work. So getting to, you know, we had shown him an early version of the film which he really connected to, and that just filled our hearts up in terms of what this relationship was going to be like. When we first started working, I really thought it was going to be about, I had a very specific idea of what this relationship was going to be like, but once we started talking about the moments, he was very much like a performer. He started talking about the music as another character in the film in terms of what the motivations of the music needed to be, what the energy and the vibe needed it to be. And he elevated the film in ways that I was not only shocked by, but just, you know, completely in love with how he was doing it.